Hey, everybody, this is Sherry Eccles. Welcome to the Operation Successful Transition podcast. We try to help veterans with housing, with work, with benefits, and with mental health. And today, our guest, Lolita Guarin. She is a stress management specialist, and I'm super excited to have her. Lolita is a stress management expert, four-time Amazon #1 best-selling author, transformational speaker, founder of Amazing You, From Stress to Success Blueprint, podcast host and creator of the CALM method, CALM. With a rich background in recovery and professional expertise, she blends practical strategies with compassionate support to empower busy professionals. And I think that a lot of what she has to say can apply also to people transitioning from the military to civilian life, because stress is stress, regardless of how it comes. So what got you interested in pursuing a career in this stress management?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your
Ah,
podcast. This is
thanks
an
for coming.
honor. And also, I'm so happy I got to meet you in person. So that's like extra
Yeah.
points for me. Um, well, stress management is not like I woke up one day and I said, you know what, I could be a stress management coach. Like, somebody can wake up and say, I want to be a lawyer. Like,
Right.
no, it didn't happen to me like this. For those who are listening in, they think, where's her accent from? Um, I came to US from Lithuania 24 years ago now. I
Okay.
cannot believe how time flying by.
Oh, you
Um,
can hardly tell.
and I live in Houston, so it's like summer all year long, and
Yeah.
there's like no Christmas, no snow. So my brain still thinks like I'm still 26. I love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel that way too. 32 is my year though.
I'm probably in 30s as well. Yes. So I came to US and I was working very hard because I knew that's a land of opportunities if you want to work and be rewarded. And what happened that I worked myself to the ground to the point that I was working overtime and weekends, and there was like no nutritional uh, value foods on my table because it's whatever I eat in the break room, and the only exercise I got is just go to ladies' room during the day and then come back home and go to sleep and all over again. And
Hmm.
it's nothing that I'm telling here now is somehow very different from millions of people. This is looks like the regular day.
Yeah.
But what happened is that I was working so much and burning myself and stressing out about the people in my life, about the projects that I couldn't meet on time, and everything just accumulated to the point that impacted my body physically, and it
Yes.
messed up with my hormones so much that I ended up in the emergency room, and I was like, okay, I'm still young. It should not be this happening to me. And I realized that it all had to do how I was managing my stress. And I started learning different techniques, what they call, like a stress management staples is you manage your time, you do your
Yeah.
meditation, you start eating, you start sleeping well, all of those. Nothing new here. But it was a great start for me to learn how to start managing my life better. And immediately got better results, of course, and I was able to get back to health and all this. But then I started teaching stress management because I was just so happy to teach everyone that stress management should not be stressful, as I say.
Right. And you should feel better when you get through this process. There's a part of a process, but eventually you should feel pretty good, right?
Yes, and funny, I had a client that I told her that I asked her, I said, it's very important to do at least one thing during the day, in your day, at least one thing that you love doing it. And it doesn't have to be an hour. If you can do an hour, great, but it could be
Yeah.
like 15 minutes, 5 minutes. And she said that she used to love coloring books. And I told her, okay, well, just do a page of coloring book before you go to sleep, trying to calm down and you just and de-stress and just go to sleep. And after like 2 weeks, I asked her, I said, so how about this, your coloring book project? Are you taking the time? And she said, you know what? I don't think I can do this because I'm so sleepy and I need to go to sleep. And then I still have to color this page. So I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, that's not, you should not be stressing yourself to add something more onto your plate.
Right.
So like you said, everything that you do, it always need to make you feel better.
It's true. And someone who's very important to me finds value in coloring. It's relaxing to her and brings her that piece enters in. But, some people, this could look like soaking in a bathtub, or could look like reading a book, or listening to music, or taking a run around the block, or even a walk, or something physical. Physical releases those endorphins and good things for us that help, besides just chilling and stopping all that vibration and stimulation, is kind of slowing it down. But
So here's the deal, and somebody can think, oh my gosh, I'm already doing way too much. I don't want to do anything. Great. Do nothing. Tell yourself, I'm gonna sit down for 15 minutes. Just can put an alarm on if you feel that you will be sitting there too long, and just do nothing. Just sit and look through the window and see people passing by, cars passing by. Go somewhere and have a cup of coffee and just watch people, or do nothing, or close your eyes, or do something that helps you to see that you honor your own needs, because it's happening two huge things. One, you help your brain to relax, and number two, you honor your own needs. Now, if somebody immediately listening to this and say, I don't have time for this is a stupid idea, I'm not going to color a book, watching people, this is so stupid. And this is where I deal a lot of my clients who come to me and they say, I'm burnt out, stressed out, I don't know what to do. So here's the deal. If you are not going to spend time on yourself, there is a reason for that. Ask yourself, okay, how do I feel if I take 15 minutes break today to do something? Do I feel ashamed of it? Because I don't want that other people look at me and say, oh, he's so lazy. I mean, or how dare she? She has kids to take care of. Do you feel like you grew up in the environment where for you it was very important to constantly be useful? Otherwise, you think that people discard you from the group, and hence our brain thinks, oh my gosh, if I don't belong to a group, I'm going to die. I lost the purpose. I lost the need. And hence, I always have to be needed for the people. So I need to constantly work, 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 and cannot even take a break for yourself. It could be also that you grew up with a pattern where you've seen people in your life, the authorities, like parents, caregivers, or teachers, or somebody that you looked up to. They were constantly working, and sacrifice yourself, your own needs was a good thing to do. That's the thing. So if I'm asking you to do something and you have difficulty of doing this just for you, it could be that you need to start adjusting your beliefs and asking yourself, why I'm not allowing myself to do such a simple thing as just soak in the bathtub for 15 minutes.
You hit on something interesting there, and it's never occurred to me before, but a parental figure used to walk through, if I was caught watching TV, would say, you can do something more industrious than that. Or if I used to love to read when I was a kid, I was always reading, and they'd say, put that book down and go outside and play. But to me, reading was my thing that filled me up. So I was constantly go do something else besides, kind of what's my downtime or my filling up time. So that wasn't traumatic. And they had good intentions. They weren't being abusive. I had a great childhood. There's no trauma around my parents, but just those little comments in such a time when your brain is formative, when everything that happens, you take this internal thing. I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but I've done a lot of reading. But so, just one or two comments, 3 or 4 times, something like that. And it doesn't have to be violent or ugly or anything, but it can really sink in, especially when you're seeing that example of your parents just working all the time and taking care of everything else too. So yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. Awesome insight.
And there's also we can think, so somebody can grow up with the patterns where they see, oh, this is how I need to do it, otherwise I'll be excluded from the group, right? Like, I need to show that I'm very good with my chores, I'm a very good student. And then you grow up into adult that is constantly working and constantly wants to serve other people, but don't take time for yourself. But also there could be this happening because you grew up in the environment where you saw your family all together, and you understand that everybody needs to be helping others. Everyone has to be in the community. You need to serve. And you saw your authorities, your grandparents and parents, whatever the family you came from, they were very giving and they were very hard workers. So then you, an adult now, sitting and watching TV or just watching cars passing by for 15 minutes, because you have such a connection with your family, you feel disloyal if you're not going to do the same thing. you may feel like you're just honoring them. And for us, when we're all human beings, we need to be, I'm sure there are no aliens listening to this. We have to be included in the group. So we want to honor the needs of everybody else. And we want to feel like we belonging because we're doing the same things. We have the same values, same goals. And it could be very hard, especially I've had clients who they say, it feels weird to me if I'll sit and read a book for 15 minutes
Yeah.
because they feel like they are breaking that loyalty from the group that they already came. And for us, honoring others, it is above ourselves even. So it is very hard to put yourself first when you're thinking about the group. And and I always tell my clients, remember this: if you, let's say, even reading this book, um, you cannot like if you are ashamed or think like something is bad, if you're going to take that 15 minutes break, other people depend on you and other people see you, and it may look like nobody cares about me and nobody sees, everybody's busy with their own things. You give example by how you do it. You teach other people around you how to live their lives as well. So it's not like you're just taking care of yourself for your own sake, but you're inspiring other people around you too. Also, if you're running on empty, there's how can you give other people? So
Yeah.
when my clients come in, they say, I have this family, I have kids, and I have a business, and I'm running all of this, and I don't have time to take care of myself. I say, you cannot pour out of empty cup. So
Right.
you need to
Yeah.
replenish yourself in order to contribute to other people's lives.
True. We get all frazzled out, then our patience and our compassion aren't there. We're shorter with our kids and we just don't take the time to, to respond very well to them when we're not in, maybe not relaxed, but at least taking care of ourselves and having that. And, you mentioned before about how when you get so stressed out, it actually has a physical effect on your health. Stuff that happens in your brain does happen to your health. Your adrenal glands keep going. And when you're running on adrenaline for a long time, that can even change your brain structure. So it's really, really important to take care of yourself, not let that kind of mental health go wild.
And I read a great book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. So
Yes.
how pretty much all the diseases really it comes to emotions and how we manage things. And when you really think about it, it's all in your brain. You can change that. Of course, it's very important to realize you really start with observing yourself and your patterns. And then when you acknowledge it, then you see what those patterns are, then you can start changing your behavior. And it's
Yeah.
totally possible. That's why I think that's how miracles happen. If somebody really made the change and that influenced the rest of their body and their life.
Yeah. I think just shining a light on something and paying attention to it and being intentional with changing it. I've had a experience like that in my life where I changed my mentality from victim to otherwise. And it took a couple of weeks of doing only that. I read everything. I put the sticky notes with the affirmations everywhere. My whole being was focused on that because I was just swirling and I wasn't being effective at anything. So I had to change something so I could progress. It's I love what you're doing here. So if we're talking about veterans and specifically people who are transitioning from the military to the civilian life, there are a lot of there's PTSD, there are suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts. There are a lot of people that I talk to miss the camaraderie and that group connection and that sense of belonging and appreciation. How are they going to recognize what kind of things that they can do to get out of that there's like a cycle of thinking, right, that goes with that depression and stress, being stressed out. Yeah, I've heard it called stinking thinking or things like that. How do you get a pattern interrupt and begin to take care of yourself if you're in that kind of situation?
Yeah, so the first is to realize that it's okay to meet your needs. Now, this sentence itself, it can trigger a lot of people, especially if, like for example, I just can talk about myself. I always had this idea that my needs don't matter because I want to serve others. Not like just have to just, and I love serving others. So for me, that's how I became overworked. I have to bring this thing out of myself, but my needs don't matter. Especially we grew up and we are in the society where this martyrdom is such a great deal. And there are no statues standing for somebody who took the time to read the book, right? There are statues everywhere they're showing that they sacrificed their life and died for it, or just life itself by serving people.
Mhm.
And so we're already conditioned of thinking, oh, my needs don't matter. But like we just said this before, you need to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. So, but one need to ask themselves, like, okay, um, how many things do I do during the day that I'm already honoring my needs? And it could be that maybe you're not used to even be okay with the idea of to have my needs, because that already can sound like very selfish, and selfish in society is a bad thing, because then
Mhm.
this means the society will break apart if everybody will be by themselves. But that's also not true, because if everybody take care of themselves, they'll be more giving to others, and then we'll just be a much better place to live, because everybody's full, so they can fill everybody else as well.
Mhm.
So if somebody can think that they don't deserve also to have their needs met, and so start with looking, what are your patterns? What is it exactly you're doing right now that helps you? What is that you like doing? And then introduce at least one thing that you'll be able to do during the day that, again, we're going back to the same thing, by just feeling good. Just start feeling good for a little bit. And I think there are 7 human needs. Of course, we start with breathing, water, shelter, all of those things. But I think there are 2, the last ones, that are very, very important. And 6 is, you have to belong to a group. We are humans and we are herd animals. We have to be in the group. That when we get isolated physically or emotionally, that is like the worst punishment. And I think right now we have a pandemic of loneliness, even though right now in history we are the most connected, it looks like, through technology. But the technology connection is not really true connection when you actually meet somebody in person, right? And
Yeah.
technology cannot really change having a hug from someone. And we know that our brain needs physical touch. When you look at the babies, there was research done, you probably heard about that one.
Mhm. Yeah.
When the baby is given the food or given the cuddling, the baby's going to pick up the cuddling. They're always going to choose the cuddling. So there is lots of people, I think, and those who, especially with PTSD, then they can feel like they damaged or something they couldn't complete, or they feel I did so much, but now nobody sees me for how much of I gave. And there could be lots of disappointment in themselves and the society in general. So you need to give yourself what you can give. And the first you need to start honoring yourself. And just because you're going to read a book or watch a TV show that you like, nobody's going to discredit you. But it starts with the small things that you allow yourself to be you. And that's, I think, what the true self-love is. When you honor the way you are, even if you're feeling sad today, even if you're feeling angry today, even
Mhm.
if you're feeling joyful, and whatever it is. Especially with anger, I had a lot of anger issues because I grew up in the family where you're not supposed to show that you're angry. And what happens is, and that's how I understood what anger is, when you feel like you lost control over something and you cannot change it, you'll be angry. So let's say you are in a situation somewhere and then you start feeling anger, ask yourself, do I feel like I'm losing control? And then ask yourself, am I really out of control? Of course, we cannot change a lot of people and situations, but you can change your mindset. So, sorry, that's a long answer, but
No,
start of
that's great.
acknowledging what patterns you have, and then say, what is that I'm already doing that helps me? And I had clients who they say, I cannot even conjure up a nice feeling. I'm so depressed. I'm so sad. Everything I tried, nothing works. It's like, okay, you may think that you already, not whatever I do, nothing works. Then start something small. Build the trust in yourself. For
Mhm.
example, you like a cup of coffee. Okay. Sit in the morning or whatever in the middle of the night and just absorb that moment. Just feel the heat through your fingers, and you just be there for a moment. Like, I'm enjoying this cup of coffee. You're just doing for 1 minute.
Yeah.
But then the next morning you can do the same thing, and then you can start building your trust that you can honor your needs, and the war will not end. And it's okay until you build up to the things that you can do more.
I think it's getting used to, it feels different to be calm as opposed to having all that stuff running through your brain all the time and being overstimulated, sort of. with your to-do list and your, geez, I'm not getting that done and I need money for this and I got to do this. I got to be here for them. That I gotta, just quiet. And like you say, sit in your feelings and honor them, acknowledge what you are feeling. We try to put that aside so much, but I think it serves you a lot better to process it and go through it. It's much healthier than putting it in a box and stuffing it down somewhere, because then it's going to explode at some point. So sitting and honoring it. And you were talking about just one tiny thing that made me think of a couple of books that I've read, if there are readers out there, Tiny Habits and Atomic Habits. So you just start, floss one tooth one day, then eventually you'll say, well, maybe I have time to floss two teeth today. And it grows from there to great oral hygiene, and then take, exercise and whatever it is to take care of yourself. But just make one little change. And another principle that was in those books is having an anchor behavior. So like on the flossing your teeth, when you get up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, you have a drink of water, you brush your teeth, floss one, just having some behavior that you do automatically, and then add this other little thing in there. My little 2 cents from what I've read and understand. But maybe there are things, I think, that we feeling overwhelmed, and that there are behaviors and habits and things that we do that are detrimental to us. So maybe there are some things that we need to just practice to not do. You know what I mean? Don't self-medicate. Don't stay up all night watching videos, or, what are some things that we could cut out that would help with our internal healing?
So that's a great question. And this is only the half of it. We always do what serves us. I know, I just triggered a bunch of people. Let's hear it again. We always do what serves us.
Yes.
Out of survival, I say we're eager to kill ourselves in order to survive. Yes, it's harsh, but it's true.
Yeah.
So when somebody, for example, let's say playing video games, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because it's serving him somehow, right? Or like, for example, what I say, I'm a high achiever. When I open a potato chip bag, I'm gonna eat the whole
The
bag.
whole thing. Yeah.
I like accomplishing things, and I'm gonna finish things up, so I'm gonna eat the whole bag. Of course, the moment I finish eating it, I'm feeling very guilty, because how dare you to eat the whole bag, and this is bad for me. But I still did it. And then the next week, I'm gonna pick up the same potato again, right? And we're gonna do the circle again. So it's very easy for for myself to say, well, stop eating that. This is so stupid. You're just putting all this oil and those potatoes in your body when you shouldn't. But it's serving me somehow. So anything that one is doing that they can identify, like, okay, what do I do in my life? Make a list of things that I'm doing that really not serving me, or it can look like it's not serving you, like it's making me feel tired, make me feel, plenty of things that you can judge yourself for doing that. And then ask yourself, those activities, what are they bringing me? For example, my potato bag massacre that night, finishing the whole potato bags, is because it makes me, it's a comfort food for me. For me to feel full and just feel that crunchy taste, and the salt comforts me. It calms me. It's obviously it's serving me somehow. But then you need to go a little bit deeper than this. Why do you need to have that feeling? Why? Is there something that you need to calm down, or this is what you used to? And then go a little bit deeper of thinking, okay, that means I'm lacking of something. So if I'm lacking of that, or I lack, say, feeling seen or understood, or let's say something happened to you and you feel angry, you have to let that anger out. But it's told to us that being angry is a very bad thing. So then we're gonna tuck this in and then be sick later on. Really, that's what's gonna happen. So instead of saying, oh, I lash out at people, it's like, okay, so that's bad thing. Stop doing that. Well, it's easy to say, stop doing that. So you need to ask yourself, okay, what is happening really? Why do I lash out at people? Well, because they remind me of, let's say, I could say, it reminds me of my father. Well, he come back drunk after work and will yell at me. So naturally, I'm always hyper vigilant. I'm very hyper vigilant. So I take everything as an attack. Even if somebody can say one sentence to me in the store, and while I'm waiting in line at cashiers, I can take this immediately very stressed out and thinking they're attacking me, when actually they're not. They're just saying something, but it reminds me of something
Yeah.
that I need to take care of, that really issue that is deep down, which means I'm not feeling heard, I'm not being seen, I'm not feeling safe, I'm not feeling valued, I'm not feeling love for who I am. And those things that when we are an adult really start very early on, that it could be, you also may look at your behavior and ask yourself, am I behaving the same way as my parents were behaving? Because you probably learn how to manage your stress and your anger and everything else in your life as an example how they did it. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying those are just the facts, and it's possible to change that.
Yeah. We grow up a certain kind of way, right? And we teach what we know. And unless some people read and study about how to be a parent, they go to counseling and do all this learning, but still you're teaching from your experience. And that's, so at some point, I realized my parents are only human. There's no book on how to be a parent. They did the best that they could. And I try to tell this to my kids. My kids don't have kids yet. And I don't know if they're going to. So I don't know if they'll ever realize this, but they say you did your best, as if that, I don't know. I just feel like maybe that wasn't good enough, maybe, but I'm only human too. And I'm doing the best I can with my experience and with what's going on in life right now. There are just stressors that happen. And whether we have someone like you who can help us deal with them appropriately or not is going to end up making a difference, like you say, in the lives that we touch day to day with our reactions and how we deal with things.
So there's something I read the whole book of why stress is good for you, or how make stress that is good for you, something like this. Um, so first, everyone is doing the best they can. Okay, when you parent a child, a grand, it doesn't matter. If you're human, that's a human experience to have feelings, to be angry, to love, to be disappointed, to be excited. That's called human experience. If we just start from this and say, yes, we're just experiencing, that's in what we're supposed to do every day. Um, but then you take your whatever happened to you and use for something good. And in that book that I read about how to manage stress and how stress is good, something like that, there was a group of the whole book was full of research that was done by this famous therapist that managing only looking how to manage stress. And so there is one example I can say. There was a group of doctors that they were dealing with cancer patients, and they will meet every week, and they will sit around, and of course there was a very gloomy situation because they will sit around and they pretty much say, I had this client, I had this patient, and they died this week, and I couldn't save them, and even though I had the surgery, it still didn't work. And so everybody will sit there and just be miserable because they see that they did not succeed. The person still died no matter how much they tried. So this book says, whatever situation you're in, look at it from a different perspective of how is actually what you're doing is serving the better good. Like kind of zoom out of your situation. So then they said, change your set of the point of view about this. So then they separated those doctors, and the group A was continuously doing the same thing, being sad every time they meet. And then, of course, they measure their blood pressure, their physical, just to see how the body changes and how much stress is affecting them before that whole thing, and then after to compare. So the group B, they told them this: when you come to a meeting, you do not think and you do not talk that, oh, my patient died. They said, oh, after the surgery, the patient lived a whole month longer. So they were able to say goodbye to their family. They were able to put the things in order. They were finally able to meet the grandchild that they really wanted to meet, or go to some location that they always planned on going. And so those doctors start seeing that even though the patient died, they still made an impact in not only in the patient's life, but also in other people's life associated with the patient as well. So then they saw that they could look at something not that big, but it was a very good thing that happened to all of those people. So then those doctors started paying attention to, they had the meaning, that finally they had the purpose of not just one thing, but that many things, and that influenced a lot of people. And they stress, it changed because of that. So next time when they will go to the workplace, they already know they're doing the best they can. But then when they were looking from the point of view of not disappointment, but from saying, you know what, I'm doing good. I'm doing the best I can. And even I know because I'm doing the best I can, people will be influenced. And this situation can be done for anything in our lives. And if you, for example, if there's a mother, single mother, or not necessarily single mother, but let's say somebody who's like a housewife and watches her kids, somebody can say, how come you're not getting a job? Get the job, and then you feel like you fully contributing to society because you need to have rewards and the money and all of this. Or somebody can say, those kids driving me nuts. But if you change your point of view and you say, I'm doing the best I can, I'm the best mother that I know I can be, and it's okay if I'm angry or happens or I snap. Those my kids are being seen what it means to be human, and I know I'm helping to grow individuals that they may change the world. So now, when you're looking from perspective of those kids driving me nuts, into saying, you know what, I'm making a difference. The stress level in your body immediately will change. So that's a long talk, but I found it very interesting because I use it for myself as well. And I come up. My dad was alcoholic, and I have a childhood trauma that was very slowly every single day that really caused PTSD. What the made into adult that I am right now. But I'm using this to raise awareness with everybody else and say nothing's wrong with you. You did the best while you were growing up. You're doing the best that you're doing right now as an adult, and just use this to help other people, to inspire other people. And it doesn't take that long. You can go to the store today and you just can smile at someone or give a compliment to someone. You're gonna make their day. They can come back home. They can probably not gonna be screaming at their kids today. And this is how paying forward. And it just takes one little thing to actually make a huge difference in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to your example about the doctors, that energy is contagious. And I think a lot of healing is mindset, right? So those patients who are in this terrible situation need all the, not toxic positivity, but as much positivity as they can have around them, encouragement and that. And I think that they could probably feel those doctors, that sense of dread and regret or guilt or whatever, that they couldn't save them, the other patients who ended up dying. So that it is contagious. And like you say, this, if you smile or do something nice for someone, there's kind of that ripple effect, and it does touch lots of people that day. And I think we've all heard that story about the guy and the kids getting on the train, and the kids are going wild and yada, but at the end of the story, it's that their mother just died. And so you have to just remember to be kind, because you never know what somebody's going through, right? So relating this again to coming back into civilian life, where things are more mundane, or where you may have trouble finding a job, or several people that I've talked to in the military made pretty high rank, and then they get out and they're discouraged that they're not getting an equivalent position when they come back out into civilian life. They're having to go back a few steps and start over to get to the top. And I feel that frustration. It's really disappointing for me that they can't come out and maintain that equal status. So that's one way, one instance where this stress management would definitely help. And I think back to that self-medicating thing, that's an effort to numb the feelings, right? That self-medication is so we don't have to sit in those feelings. But like you've said, is we have to acknowledge them, because otherwise they're going to explode at some point, and it's going to come out in a not nice way. So
it all starts when you're I'm sorry if I interrupted you, but
no.
You have to honor your feelings by acknowledging that you have them and it's okay, and not to be afraid for them to come out. So there was this research done that it says as soon you acknowledge the feeling as some emotion, you label it and you say, I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling depressed, or I am feeling this and this. As soon you say that, you're separating this from yourself, and then you can work on it. It's a very good idea to start writing something. And even if you cannot read later, it's great. You just take the pen and write it down. There's already research done that shows that when you're writing, there's such a connection between the brain and your hand that you're just pouring all of this energy out. and you need those emotions coming out, and not to keep it in the body. But also by doing this, you showing self-love by honoring your needs. You're healing yourself, and it's okay. Many times, and I know where I grew up, oh, you're not supposed to show anger, boys don't cry, and all of this thing, that you feel that, well, I'm gonna look weak because I don't want to do this. Put that aside. Nobody needs to know you're writing a diary, or you
Right.
just can, write it down something and throw it out right away. But also, if somebody can be a lot, if those emotions are so heavy, it may look like I don't even want to go there because I'm afraid I'm not going to stop. Like, oh, if I'm angry, I'm going to be so angry that I am afraid I'm going to break something. And it is so intense that I'm afraid even to open up for this. Well, here's the deal. If you're not going to let this out, it's always going to stay there. So you can do things like it helped me a lot. I remember when I started the healing process, I just took a belt and I just beat the bed. I just whipped that bed like there is no tomorrow. And it helped so much. And again, you're getting the emotion out, and also you are there for yourself. You're not abandoning yourself. And what I mean by this, when you tell yourself, oh, I shouldn't do this, or what do people think about me, or I'm not used to this, or I don't want to look disloyal, or this is shameful, or how dare I, and then you feel angry at yourself and resentment, all of this, you really truly abandoning yourself. So stop abandoning yourself. Start doing some things that actually help you, and tell yourself it's okay. And then the second thing that's very important is to already see amazing things that you already accomplished in your life, because you can constantly run for horizon for something more, but you acknowledge what you're already good at. So everyone who's listening, make a list of your accomplishments. And it could be something simple like you got driver license. Everybody have driver license, as you know, and you write all of those things. And then you read that every day. You start your day with that. You're like, you know what? I accomplished all those things. I accomplish more if I want to. It makes you happy. Give yourself credit. Really look at that list and think, okay, I'm the person who has no idea who this person is. Like, look at it from yourself from a different point of view. And what would you think about this person that has this list? Who you think that somebody, went to be in some foreign country and were away from the family? What do you think about that person? Do you think they're resilient? Do you think it takes guts to do this? Yes, you'll be thinking, oh my gosh, they're amazing. But you see, when it comes to you, now you suddenly it loses the credit, like, because we used to that, we used to not give ourselves credit. You have to celebrate yourself. Also, as another tip, if you have friends but good ones, there's lots of friends who they very good when you're happy, and when you're not happy they gone. um get, or family member, someone, but somebody who will be inspiring. Okay, don't ask somebody who's has be mean. Don't do that. Ask them to write a letter about you, like a letter, like 5 things I like about you. When you feel this kind of, because we cannot be every single day high. We shouldn't. It's always, we need to get down at some point in order to go up. So when you feel down and you feel this is it, this I don't have any more any energy to go on for the day, or you feel lonely, read those letters and listen in, because you're wanted. And for those who are listening in and they're thinking, I just don't know what else to do, there is so much need to go to youth, to go to deal with kids, give them inspiration. Just think about it. You can be a leader. You can create a group of kids to play basketball or something. Think what is it you like to do and go volunteer. Just give yourself that time. Time is the most expensive thing that we have, because you cannot buy more of it.
Yeah.
So go and give other people, inspire them, because you coming back to the place where you are right now, there's so much of resilience and empowerment that you have. You have no idea how many people you can inspire, and you are worthy of that. So do not hold yourself back, because there are people who really need you.
That's true. And in giving service and volunteering and helping other people, it's really, really rewarding. It feels really good to do that. Something else I wanted to touch on was, like you said, it's so heavy and so deep, right? Sometimes we might need help, whether that's as someone else who's been in the military that knows what you've been going through, whether that's a family member who's particularly that you identify with, who inspires you. Some people are, there's a stigma with going to a mental health professional. So maybe having a coach like Lolita would be another avenue that you could use to get some help. Sometimes it just takes someone else to give us a hand up and having that kind of the someone to show you the path and then to support you and to have a like I've said before, a lot of the veterans miss that sense of camaraderie in that group. So having the group to support you and to talk with underneath a coach is going to be super helpful to get outside of yourself and to know that you're not alone. You're not the only person who's feeling these things. Other people have felt with them before and they've dealt with them successfully to have a happier life in the end.
And there's, I get to ask a lot, like, what's the difference between a therapist and a coach?
Yeah,
So I say a therapist is like an archaeologist. You will go back in your past and will dig out all the dirt you have. That's very daunting. Not everybody wants to do that. It's good to know, but it's like, do I really want to be in that
right.
muck forever? Coach is like an architect. So we know what foundation we have. It's always good to know where we're coming from. But then the coach helps you to have a plan for the future and build the habits and have an inspiration and have the support, kind of like holding your hand and saying, we're going to build this. We're going to build this together and I'm going to hold it accountable. You will be on the list to do things and I'll be watching. And if you need support, I will help you. I think that's why for me, coaching worked so much to move forward because the therapy helps you to move forward, but is really kind of just about the past. But the coaching is really
Yeah.
about the future. And I think that's where we're all going, to the future.
You and I were just at Connect and we saw a speaker and he talked about your current self is always going to keep creating your current life, right? You need to think about where you want to end up being, what your ideal life looks like. What does your day look like? Where do you live? What do you drive? What do you do? Who are you? What are your habits? All these things. And then when you're thinking about a problem, ask what would your future self do? Have your future self kind of direct you in your day-to-day actions instead of repeating the loop. Does that make sense? Is that something that coaching can help you do, is get that ideal and kind of head toward a goal rather than just aimlessly wandering around with whatever.
Yes, and I think majority of my clients that I also coach is about somebody can tell you all of the tips, all of the tricks what you do. Even if like right now you said, well, imagine your higher self or your future self and now
Mhm.
do what you want to become that other person. But
Yeah.
there's so many of us say, I don't think I deserve that future me because I'm so damaged. This is great that other people do that, but it's not going to happen for me. Other people can do because they came from better families, they have better life. Those wounds, those traumas didn't happen to them. I'm wounded, I'm broken, so it's not going to happen for me. Why to do that? And I came from a dysfunctional family where I thought the same thing. And I
Mhm.
tell everyone, you did nothing wrong. You did everything great. And you are make you. So now let's just use you to better to accomplish better things for you because you're already great. I have an issue when they say you have to make yourself better. No, you're already great. Now just enjoy your greatness and don't hold yourself back.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I didn't mean that example to think of like making myself better, but deciding sort of what your life is like rather than just letting it happen to you, that kind of thing. And so a lot of times it just takes help. I've been working with a coach for like 5 years for my real estate business, and it's helped me more with mindset and with encouraging me in many other ways besides just my business. So it was an unintended consequence, but it's turned out to be a great thing. So if somebody tell us about your books, we'll put links for those in the description, I guess, or not the end screen, but in the description so people can click on them. What are the titles of your books? And
Yeah, so they all are available on Amazon. So the newest one I published, it's called Stress Management for Adult Children of Alcoholics. And I say it's not only parent who had a parent alcoholic, it can be anything, even not emotionally available parents as well. Because those who come from dysfunctional families, I think the child always has the same needs. And then you become an adult that have
yeah,
difficulty of handling stress because of people pleasing, fear of abandonment, and have trust in yourself, and you do not take credit, and you think you're damaged and broken, all those things. So in every chapter, I talk about one specific item and how to deal with that. And I always finish with and I always have a joke in every chapter because I think stress management should not be sad.
Yeah.
In every chapter, I end with a superpower because everything that you've been through to this point, you can use this for good. And it's a superpower, even if it looks like from other people's point of view, like it's a bad thing, but it's not. It's what can use this for good. Then another book about stress management is called Crush Stress While You Work. And it's just pure tips and tricks how to manage stress and in the work environment, or like in your life pretty much, because it touches the time management and the health and all of the things and mindset and your workplace and things like that. And for so so my birthday is next week, and I'm running a special right now. So if you book two coaching sessions, you get third free. And I have I'll put the link on my website. Definitely that's not forever, but this is just a little special. So those who want to book me for a session, I think is a great opportunity because that's like the first time I ever am doing that.
Yeah.
And I was just inspired because there's so many people that need help. And they thought, well, it's my birthday, so how about if I give a gift to somebody else?
That sounds awesome. So, those are your books. And I guess you'll give me a link. If somebody wants to explore coaching with you, they can have like an exploratory phone call to talk with you and see if that would be a good option for them. So we'll include all that information in the description so you can get a hold of Lolita. I think she would be a great asset and help you in learning how to reduce your stress. And we didn't talk very much about it, but this time management piece, and that was, I thought about that too when we were talking early on and forgot about it. To kind of de-stress your day, pick a few main priorities rather than having 100 priorities and not being able to get any of them done. It's been a tool that I've been using. If I pick 3 or 4 things I'm going to get done today, then I'm more likely to get them done and have that success. And something else that we do in my real estate coaching group is each day we celebrate our wins, and that goes what you're talking about, appreciating yourself. So just recognizing 5 things I did well today, what success I had today, what came my way that I wished for, what I accomplished, that kind of thing. Celebrating your own wins each day is very important as well. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on here today. I'd love to have you back again. We can explore some more things. Maybe time management would be a good one because a lot of people have trouble with that. Okay, we'll just have you come back and we'll talk about other topics then. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Sherry.